Hello, I've been working on my wave function collapse for Unreal. First of all, what is wave function collapse? You can watch the Coding Train video about it if you want a better explanation. His video was the inspiration for me to try wave function collapse and also to try the POIT system. Um, so if you want to check it out, you can watch his videos that are definitely more coherent and less rambly than whatever I am about to do next. So the basic idea of a function collapse, at least the way I've understood it, is that you have like some size of grid, and then you have some tiles. The tiles have rules like where they can spawn or what they can spawn next to, and then you go through the whole grid, and for each time you try to spawn a new tile, you go through the whole grid, and then you try to choose the position in the grid that has the least options. If there's equal number of options, you choose randomly, and then for that tile, that position in the grid, you choose randomly from the valid choices. Um, and spawn the actor. So I have this very simple example of that. It doesn't work very perfectly. Sometimes it fails, and I have very basic rule set of like defining that C can only spawn next to sea or deep sea. Beach can only spawn next to sea, meadow, and beach. Mountain can spawn next to mountain, high mountain, forest, or meadow, and it's just like a 10 by 10 grid. And yeah, I only check like the neighbors, so it looks very ugly and not good. If I would choose like a longer distance than 2, then it would probably look a lot better. But yeah, this is the actual system that I have for my game. Um, and I can run it like this. Actually, right now you don't see the reachable mesh like this. And then if I choose this, it should show the path as well. And yeah, this is like the whole first floor now randomized. You can kind of see like this is one room. So in normal wave function collapse, it's like 1 times 1 tile, but my rooms are usually a lot bigger than that. Most of them are like a lot bigger than 1 by 1, and they actually have to be in this mansion setup. They have to be multiplication of 3, so like 3, 6, 9, 12, so on. And the reason I made this system like this is because it allows me to like define a lot nicer looking rooms that what I would be able to do with just like generating each tile individually and then trying to make the rules so that it would like generate rooms out of that. There is some kind of like I have definitely seen like system that generate like nice looking roads and stuff like that, and then some forest around it. Um, but for the rooms and like furniture and stuff like that, I just found it a lot easier if I define uh, each room as their own level, and then try to do it that way. So let me load one room as an example. So for example, this room has like these big bookshelves here. So if I wanted to place this big bookshelf here, uh, and that is like at least like the size of like maybe that's like 3, and that's or 4, and that's maybe 5 tile size. It would be kind of tricky to try to spawn this bookshelf in the level without doing this whole library room as its own level and spawning it that way, because I would have to like make sure that it doesn't collide with anything else, and it doesn't block the doors and stuff like that. So doing it this way, like defining uh, this room as its own level and setting up all the settings here for this room is a lot easier in that sense that I can make these define these rooms. I don't I wanted to say beautiful rooms, but I know that I haven't really worked that much to make them beautiful yet. But that's the idea. You could generate like beautiful looking rooms that way. That would be a lot more difficult if you just used like the normal one axis system, one by one system that the normal wave function collapse has. But it has like side effects of um, you have to do more calculations because when you are like trying to spawn this room, uh, you need to start from this corner tile and then you need to not only calculate if this this tile is free in the grid, but then you also need to check if all these other tiles that the room would take place are like free, and if they have like a door that would want that's already spawned here, so it cannot spawn here because then you would have door going nowhere. So it needs to like go through those rules a lot more. Like it needs to do a lot more calculations than if I would have just like one by one sized rooms. Um, and I also can like the rooms can rotate, so they also have like it will calculate for rotations like a 0, 90, 180, 270. Um, uh, so yeah, it needs to do a lot more calculations than it would have to do with one by one room. So a little bit of like glossary of what's what when I talk about it. Sometimes I will talk about room data and like room or room level, like kind of mix them up or like interchangeably. So this one, I will start from the room base. So this one is this is the room base actor that you place when you try to create a new level. And in editor, it has all of these settings of like what's the width and what's the height of the room, what tags does the room manager need to have, what tags do this room have, what's its init tag. Actually, there should be probably be a library um, tag there. But when you package the game, all of this data won't be saved in this actor. Rather, it will be saved in this room data asset. And you can see that it already updated the room library tag there because it saved it at the same time as it saves the level. And it has like a the actual like when you actually run the game, it will look all of the data from this asset and not from the actual level or the room actor room based actor. So that asset that you saw just now is the room data asset that I sometimes refer to. And then there's room door position actors, and when you are doing any kind of level, you usually place these door position actors here, and you choose if it's a door, if it's a window, or it's nothing, or door or nothing. Nothing means that it there should not be a wall there, but rather just like an open corridor, so you can like pass through there. Um, and then windows, if you want to place windows, then you you place this window actor, like whatever static mesh you want to represent the window there. But then you also place this room door position actor there with the door type as window, so the system will know that this room can only spawn on the edges of the level where there can be windows. And then finally, the top of the list, There's the rooms manager, and this is the actually playable level. Those levels that I showed are not like playable even in editor by the player, because they don't have like all the necessary stuff set up there. They don't have player positions or like all the kind of that kind of stuff placed there, or any kind of enemy manager, so anything like that, and even lighting. There can be like lamps and stuff like that on those level, but this is the level that has like the skylight and directional light in it that like contributes most of the lighting in the level, which is not very realistic, but just like it's a lot cheaper to have one big skylight that illuminates the level than having to try to get the actual lamps in the level to like light the whole level. So yeah, this is the room manager, and there's two of them in this level. There's like first floor and second floor. They when you run the game, they spawn at the same time. In the editor, when I click on this button, the other one is not spawning at the same time. But when I run the game, you will see they will spawn at the same time, and like if there's like rooms that need to that have like a minimum count that they can spawn into the level. They kind of take turns spawning the rooms into the level, and then if the other one has already spawned the minimum count of like the rooms that have like a minimum count that they need to be spawned there, then the other one will try to spawn that room as well. The minimum count means that like you want at least one of them in the level. For example, the kitchen, there only always need to be at least one in the level. I also have a max count for the room, so they can only be just one kitchen. Um, and the rooms with minimum and max count need to be like spawned first to make sure that nothing else blocks them from spawning later. Um, Even I think this room might be like a room like that, where it needs to make sure that it can spawn at least one of those here. This long corridor is definitely one of those rooms. This one is like a big laboratory. I might talk about this level later, but you can, if you go to the floor above this floor, you will be able to see down here, and it's like defined in a certain way where you can. It has like a setting that it needs to spawn that other room above this room, and I will talk about that later. But let's go to the next thing. So room positioning rules. So doors and windows form like the basic rule of where it can spawn. Like obviously, if there's a door, then there needs to be a door on the other side. So in this room manager level, you can also like place these door position actors, and this defines it so that there needs to be a door here, and like uh, yeah, it cannot like try to put a door in this position because there's no door here. So that's like the very most basic rule that it needs to follow. Um, and yeah, room tags. So the room manager and the room itself both have like tags. Gameplay tag, um, should always use gameplay tags. The room manager has defined that it's the first floor and it's a mansion. I have a separate level that's the office, and those have like their own set of rooms. And also the kitchen, for example, can only spawn on the first floor, so it has like a required tag first floor and mansion. Um, and then you can define neighborhood boxes that kind of define what is allowed or not allowed. Um, next to it at certain position. So even in this room manager level, I have a neighborhood box here, and this has a disallowed tags here, and it defines that in these two positions you are not allowed to have corridors. And if I load one of the corridor levels, you can see the same kind of thing. For example, here I have a neighborhood box, and it says disallowed tags, rooms, corridor, and that's kind of to prevent corridor from spawning on these positions, so that you don't have like two corridors parallel to each other. There's no anything like that here, so you can spawn a corridor here, or even like horizontally like this. Same thing here, but here I don't want a corridor to spawn like parallel to that corridor. So I have those kind of rule sets there. Then let's go to the next thing. Min and max values, just to um, this is separate from the min count and max count, but if you want the room to spawn in only out on the upper part of the level or something like that, then you can use that setting to make sure that it always spawns in the upper part of the level, and not in the lower part of the level. Then the above room system. So let's go look at that laboratory level. So this is a system that I might need to tweak a little bit, or try to figure out how to do better. But you can see this is the level that I saw before, and it has this like big container here that's not textured yet, but it's like too big to fit in the room. So I have another level defined that's like the upper part of it. And if you go to the second floor and find this room, you can see down to it. And the problem is right now that you just kind of have to keep track where the position of these props are. So you need to know that, okay, this position is minus 300 and 0, and then when I go to the other level, I need to place this prop at minus 300 and 0, so it will match when you actually load the level. Same with these pipes, like I just like had to go back and forth to make sure that they have like a matching position in the levels, and they don't you won't see like a weird gap there. So I'm not sure what would be the best way to kind of solve that issue of having to go back and forth between the two levels. To fix that issue, I could like try to do something where it will like save two assets, or like the part of the problem is also that when I have these two room managers here, like for first floor and second floor, it needs to attach all the actors that are um, children to the second floor into the second floor actor, so that when I'm in the first floor, it can hide all of those actors. I could, of course, try to change that system so that it doesn't use the attachment uh, thing as a way to find out what actors are part of like that floor, and like save it somehow else, some way, it's one way different. But that would change, then mean changing that system, and can kind of cascade in the way that you need to change all of these different systems when you do like change like that. But yeah, I, the kind of the above room thing is kind of, I don't use it too much because I only have like two rooms where I need to do that, so I haven't like spent too much time on it yet, because it's like good enough right now when I don't need to do more with it yet. So every room must be accessible. So if you're looking at this grid, you need to be able to access every room in it. Especially, you need to be able to get to these stairs, because if you don't get to the stairs, you cannot pass through the level. Um, but even if you have something like kitchen spawning here, you have to make sure that you can always access that kitchen. Otherwise, the game is not like solvable. So I do like pathfinding through the level, and the way I do it is I calculate the reachable points by starting from this front door, and then I just check if they're like if I'm in this tile, I check all the adjacent tiles and check if there's a wall between those tiles, and if there is not, then I add that other tile into the reachable tiles array, and as long as I'm able to add new tiles into the reachable tiles array, those tiles go into the frontier, and from the frontier I always check if it can access any new tiles adjacent to that tile. And the coloring here that you might be able to see is like how far it is from the starting point. If I run the code to spawn the code, then you can see that the rooms, like this room, is very red, even though it's very close to the beginning, because the path that you need to take to access this room is very complicated. Here is the same thing that um, this one is blue, so it's kind of not that long, like maybe like a middle point. Uh, but this one is like very far towards the end. Like it takes, you need to take like a complicated route through here to get to this room here. So this kind of gives like the impression like how far in the array of access reachable tiles it is. And if all of the tiles um, are in the reachable tiles array, then that means that every room is accessible, because they can be accessed somehow, even though in some situations they can be like very difficult to reach because you need to go through all of this like long labyrinth of a mansion. Um, also, I assume that inside the room there is nothing blocking the player. So, for example, if I zoom here and there's these two, there's the entry door and exit door, and I assume that there is nothing blocking the player from accessing the exit door in this room. Like there's not like a locked gate in the middle of the room. I do want to improve the system so that later you can define, for example, that in this path that you need to take from the sorry, I'm trying to click on something so that it makes it a little bit easier to see. So the path you need to take from this colored path, you need to take from the front door to the stairs. There would have to be like one in this path somewhere. For example, in this position, it would have to spawn a tile that has a locked door, and then somewhere else before that locked door in the area that's accessible from before this block door, you would somewhere have a key that you need to find, and you would be able to define those sort of things in the level that some parts of it need to be accessible only from that locked door, and then that key to that locked door, the room that has the key for that locked door, needs to spawn before that locked door, so that the level does require you to find the key, but that also that is always solvable. That is, it's always possible to um, find that key. It's not like in the section after the locked door. Uh, so if I haven't spawned a room yet, I assume that the system will be able to spawn a room there yet, and that means that that tile is reachable. It just assumes that it can move through that tile. So it assumes that all of these like black areas here that I haven't spawned anything yet, it will be able to like pass through them and get to the end of the level through them. It makes maybe even better to like see it when I have the mesh visualization. Like that room is already like has a color even though nothing has spawned here yet. So it kind of assumes that you can move, you will able to spawn something here, even though it will still assume that it's reachable on the other side of that like black void there, uh, and use the logic that you should have something that can spawn there. Uh, it says that it's biggest impact on CPU, but right now I managed to optimize it so much that it's no longer the case. It's still like checking if the room can spawn, or it's still the biggest the function that takes the most time, but it's not the is every room accessible function that takes the most time. I also optimized it by using a subsection of the whole grid. If you look at even the smallest rooms here, so for example, this is like the smallest type of room. It actually has width 3 and height 3. In the office levels, it's like a multiplication of 2, so the smallest size is 2. And this is just like how I wanted to build dimensional levels to always have that kind of size in all of them. And because they all have the size like the multiplication of 3, I can just like ignore uh, like um, ignore all of the tiles, like only consider like the sort of the center tile in there, and I don't have to consider like all of the 9 tiles there inside the room, because I know that inside the room the other side of the room will be accessible. So that makes it like this grid size is 60 by 60, but it's actually the pathfinding size is only 20 by 20. Um, so it's a lot smaller grid to consider for than the whole 60 by 60 grid. Then I also optimized it by caching the results. Um, so for example, in let's see, like this situation where I'm spawning this room, you can kind of tell from the colors that all of this part is green, and even in this part is kind of green. So when I'm spawning this room, uh, the color of the grid kind of tells how far in the array of reachable tiles this tile is. So if it's red, then it's at the end of the array. If it's green, it's at the beginning of the array. So when I'm trying to calculate if this room uh, would block the whole level from being accessible. Before I do that calculations of calculating if all the rooms will still be accessible when this room would be spawned here, uh, I take the previous results of reachable tiles, and I find the smallest uh, index of tiles that this room would occupy. So it would be somewhere like maybe I think here this position would be the smallest position of like the closest to the beginning of the array. So then when I pick like this tile, I know that all of these tiles that are like before this tile, they are gonna be accessible even with this room spawned here, no matter what rotation it would be spawned here. So that way I know that all of these green tiles, I can keep them in the them in the reachable tiles array, and I don't have to like recalculate them. Uh, so that saves a little bit of time. It saves a lot more time if I'm trying to spawn here where it's red, because then I can add everything that's like blue and green into the cache, um, and I don't have to call. There's like a lot smaller amount of room tiles that I need to like. The cache will be a lot bigger, and the new set of like tiles that I need to calculate if they are going to be accessible um, will be a lot smaller. So it saves a lot more time if I'm further away from this green stuff. So it doesn't save time every time. So it like maybe like half the time always. So when I'm spawning right next to the beginning, it doesn't actually save time at all because I only have to like I only get these few nodes from the cache, and then I still need to calculate all of this other stuff, like all of this blue stuff, all of this red stuff, uh, for the reachable tiles. But that did have like a big impact on the calculation time. Like it improved it a lot. And then finally, I only perform the pathfinding very last. Um, so when I have already like first I do the code if like is every like check the basic rules of like if the doors are gonna match and stuff like that. And I do that for every tile and every like still valid um, room data. Um, and then I choose the tile that has the least options. And then for that tile, I start doing the pathfinding for every room data that's valid in that room. And then if there's at least one valid room data for that tile, I will use that tile and randomize based on weights, one room data and one rotation for that tile, and then finally spawn it. But if it doesn't manage to, for if all the room data would like block like the other rooms from being accessible, then it will choose um, another tile and try to spawn there instead. So it will like still continue to the next one instead. Um, so yeah, um, that's about it. Preferred distance. So this is somewhat new code. Uh, a new system, and you can see it here with the path. Um, Actually, let me close that one. Visualize reachable. So you can see this path here, and it's defined with these desired distances. So you can see there's a front door that I have selected as an actor, and then there is this table here that I selected as the endpoint, and it will try to build this path between them, and you have this it will calculate like what's the actual distance between these 2 points, which is 16, and then you as the designer writes this decided distance between here, and it will try to choose room datas and rotations for them that would make the actual path distance between this point as close as possible to 24. So it doesn't always work because same way with the is every room accessible code, I do it at the very last part of the code, to like not doing it for every tile every time, but only at the end when I have already chosen a tile. And this is like optimization as well to like not not doing the pathfinding continuously, because that would otherwise like slow down the system yet. Slow down the system a lot if it would do like span finding every time, but I only do it at the end. So it's not kind of guaranteed to do it. Sometimes I have seen it like do very long routes at the end, like it's not anywhere close to what it would need to be. Um, but it does seem to like help it a lot because it doesn't like it does seem to like get at least close to it most of the time. Um, I can try changing the number to be a lot bigger, maybe like 40, and see if it like helps the path to be a lot longer at the end. Um, yeah, it seems to be getting there. Like it gets a lot longer now. Um, I don't know. I haven't actually really yet tested like what's the success rate, like how often it gets close to it being the number that you have. Whether it just like wrote it and then kind of moved on to another task for a while. So I haven't like 100% foolproof this yet, or like tested like how reliable it is. This doesn't seem very close to what it needs to be, but it's kind of one of those things where I'm sort of happy with it for now, and then at some point I will spend a lot more time with it again to try to improve it. Um, then let's go to the next thing. Room spawning process. So what it does when it tries to spawn the rooms. First, it goes through all the wallet files. So anything where it doesn't haven't spawned anything yet, and it's not a blocked area. It goes through the valid data. So room tags need to match. It hasn't spawned the max count for that room yet. Um, if there is like a min value count for the room, it will, like I said before, it will try to spawn those rooms first. So it will like make sure they always get like a good position in the room, the grid, or like if I didn't do it, it might not spawn at all because it might just like check them very last or something. Can spawn room will like check the specific rules of like if there's like a windows or anything like that, doors, and uh, the neighborhood boxes and stuff like that. And I check it separately for the different rotations. When I rotate the room, I will still use the same origin on it, but just like rotate it around that. Um, then some rooms have select only wallet option or setting. This is kind of badly named, but it generally means that because I have these very small rooms that I can maybe show by spawning here. But generally, like very small rooms like this one look kind of ugly because they are usually just like a very small corridor and they don't have any props in them. So I try to avoid spawning these unless they are the only option that I have. So that option means that this tile will only spawn if there's nothing else. There's no like bigger rooms that could spawn there. It will only then spawn that. So it will kind of prefer the bigger rooms. So if it passes these checks, it will add into the like valid rooms for that tile. Um, and yeah, then it will calculate like which tile has the least options and try to spawn. Try to check the is every room accessible stuff for that tile. All the rooms. New room generation. So you create You create a new level, like normally you would do in Unreal, and you place this room-based actor there. Uh, Usually, then you choose the width and height for the room, and then you start like placing door walls there. Then, depending if you want to have the um, default floor there, you uncheck or check this. So by default, you just use this default floor. But then, if you want to have more customized floor with holes or like a different texture, um, you can just use this. You can also just override the mesh here. Uh, but if you want to have like more customizable, more like a artistic floor, then you would uncheck that boolean. It doesn't generate the floor with instance static mesh for you. Min max count. So how many can spawn in the main level? So kitchen, for example, has min and max count both as 1. So min means that there must be at least one kitchen in the level, and max count means there can only be one kitchen in the whole level. Um, uh, so this is what meant. Place walls, usually static meshes, and room door positions. So they are again these actors. For Windows, you need to um, they are their own static meshes, and you need to place these actors here, like room door position actors, and check as window. So then this actor can only spawn on the edges of the map. One thing that I haven't tried doing yet is that I would allow the door windows to spawn in other positions than the middle, the edges of the level. If you wanted to have like a mansion or like building shape that's not just like a rectangle. Um, but I haven't tried solving that problem yet because I'm fine with this. But for like other projects or like future projects, I would maybe want to try to solve that problem too. Just haven't spent any time thinking about that yet. Um, so yeah, windows are usually built into the level, like you saw. Uh, Place room neighbor boxes. So the 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 rooms can have like these neighborhood boxes that define disallowed tags and required tags built into them, and then it will save that into the room data as well. And then I noticed this one before, but I forgot to fix it. Misspelling. Generates room data asset when saved. So yeah, it will generate those assets in the room data folder that the room manager will then load when it will try to run the game. The actual playable map. So room manager map is like this map, and it has like other stuff like enemy manager and like I have my own map manager and like that's like the pathfinding system for my game, and then like a skylight and directional light, which is not super realistic, but it's just like a lot cheaper to have like one big light uh, that's like the skylight of the directional light than trying to like make the whole map illuminated with all of these individual lights from the uh, the individual rooms. Um, so yeah, you can have like doors defined here as well that will like force a door to spawn here. Um, and you can have blocked areas which you define like this intro area here. Let me uncheck that generate mesh thing again, the ritual mesh. So yeah, this is like the starting area that has all of these props pre-spawned here, and the door position spawned here, and this is done with just like this actor with, where is it, this trigger box actor, and then I have selected it here on block-in actors array, and that means that it cannot spawn uh, any rooms in these positions. Of course, you need to make sure that these kind of match the 3 by 3 grid. So this needs to be like the position where this end needs to be like divisible by 3, and same with the position where it starts here, or you will end up with like one tile gap between the rooms there, or something like that. So yeah, I'm not sure if I mentioned before that I have like 2 managers in this level, like one for the second floor and one for the first floor. And they have slightly different set of like rooms that can spawn in them. Doors, so doors I spawn dynamically. Windows again, I don't spawn dynamically. Um, they are like, you can choose in the door position actor, you can choose the tag, and then when you go to project settings, uh, you can like define the actor for that door type here, and it can be door or nothing or nothing, and nothing means that it's like an open corridor. If there's 2 door nothing spawning at the same position, then it spawns a nothing, meaning an open corridor there, and it will try to spawn also spawn like a corner actor there if necessary, so that there won't be like a gap in the corner of the wall. Um, so yeah, game specific things. So normally when you leave the level, it regenerates it every time when you come back. This is to like save with memory, especially with the save file. Um, there's also like a story reason for that. But yeah, it like you don't, when you don't need to save the whole level, it saves a lot, um, because there's like a lot of interactable actors, a lot of items in a lot of NPCs in the level that need to save their state if you have like taken an item from them or something. Um, so like at least when I've tried it, it takes like 5 seconds to save the level, um, which doesn't take nearly as long in all the other levels. So that's why when then you go another level, I don't save it, and it frees up the memory. Um, Similarly, all the enemies are destroyed. I just do this in, I think, all the other levels too, where I delete the enemies and then respawn them on entry. But the one more specific to this system is if there is an item that is not in these 2 areas, so it's somewhere else in the grid, um, I will delete that item and then put it back into the item pool of randomized items. So the next time you come back to this level, it will randomize that item a new position. And that is so that because the level will be randomized again anyway, that the item won't be like inside a wall, or if it was in like a closet or like bookshelf or like a cabinet, then it won't like disappear completely. You will be able to find it in some other cabinet or book closet or whatever. Um, but then if there is a party member standing in the level or performing some kind of task, um, I do not uh, regenerate the level. And this is because currently I haven't made any kind of system where it would then like be able to uh, like save that for example, if the player is reading a book, which is like a task you can do to like gain XP. Um, if I try to do it so that it would then regenerate the level, I have to find a matching chair that has that task enabled for it in the level, and then reattach the player character to that chair, which is not really like a huge problem right now. But right now it was just easier to make sure that the level doesn't regenerate. Um, but yeah, same with the kind of NPCs. I could theoretically just like leave the NPCs there and then um, try to find the closest position in the nav mesh where they can stand. If they happen to be standing uh, inside a wall, they would like teleport to the closest nav mesh position um, where there's no wall there, so then they would be okay. Um, but with the player party members, I just haven't like bothered to try to make it so that if they are in the level, I will just like skip regenerating the level and rather keep like the level randomization. Same thing if also like the mission requires it. There might be some kind of reasons why the mission that you're currently on requires the level not to randomize again. Um, Maybe there's like a special enemy. So potential future improvements. This is kind of a thing that I don't really need for my current project. So in other projects, I have done this, loading room level when the player is close enough. Um, but it would be kind of difficult for this project, um, where a lot of the items in the level are very important to like know the current status of the whole world, and the size of the world is meant to be like close to XCOM or something. Um, Even though I have a lot more interactable actors right now than XCOM, so maybe I should reconsider. But so yeah, because it's kind of relatively small size levels, and um, you have to know what's everything that's going on in the level, and because there's like you can sort of move around in the level, and in like trick if you would be able to trigger that stuff. And because I've been thinking about going to like async saving, like implementing async saving in the saving system, if you would like move around and then that would trigger um, a room to unload or spawn. If it needs to save while you're moving around, and I would also do async saving, then something in the moving around could trigger something to happen to those actors that are currently saving asyncly, and that could lead to a crash because you're doing something with those actors at the same time as you're like saving them. So that would not be a good idea. So yeah, I don't really know. Like this would be useful for a natural type of project that doesn't really um, uh, work the same way. So it would be a nice to have like for the system in general, but at least for the current project, I don't really need it. Um, yeah, and I do have like the system where it will like hide them based on the visibility. So I don't instead of using like the normal um, distance culling system, I use my own system where it like hides complete rooms and not just like parts of the room, like individual static meshes. Um, it runs like on another thread, and it's multi-threaded and stuff like that. So it's not really impacting frame rates at least not negatively. Um, but yeah, so I'm hiding, like you can probably see once it like finishes generating the level, you can see that in action. But yeah, instead of, I do have that, so I don't really need like completely unloading and loading the level during runtime, which would save a little bit of time. Like when you saw me load the level just now, it took a little bit of time to like load the levels itself too. Um, so yeah, if you look at this room here, you can see it pop visible when you get close enough, because it's like hidden by the system. Um, but yeah, even that this system is not like completely uh, perfect yet, because like right now here um, you can kind of see this corridor disappear. If I get no wait, this corridor doesn't maybe disappear, but some situations you can kind of see like there's blackness there, like darkness there, and it has not loaded anything there. So I need to figure out how, like, because these rooms are connected and because you can see there when you scroll close enough, I would need to make that room visible as well. Um, but yeah, uh, so the last thing, and the thing I've been talking about before, is like dividing paths between these like points, and stuff like the key and the gate where you would need to use the key, and then defining that you need to have a specific room between these points, and then you would, like before this point, you would need to have that. So that's something I definitely want to try to add, but don't know yet if I will try to do it with this project or some other project, because with this, at least this map, I don't necessarily need it, but might need it for some other projects. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope I didn't ramble too much. uh, I like with this system, I probably try to release it to GitHub at some point. Just not yet, because it's still going through like a lot of changes. Like this, that it's very messy code. I have like a lot of stuff that I've like commented out and has like tried out, and there's like a lot of stuff, even stuff like that. It's like I don't even use anymore, because I've like tried something, and then like, oh, this makes the code slower, or a lot of like debugging messages that don't necessarily make a lot of sense for other people. So I would want to clean this up before like maybe release it for other people. Um, but yeah, at some point I probably want to release it. Um, but yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. And see you later.